There's a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It lingers quietly. It shows up in the silence after a call you dreaded answering. In the way your chest tightens when someone you care about walks into the room, and instead of comfort, you feel dread. Sometimes, the people closest to us, the ones who claim to love us, are the ones who slowly chip away at our peace. Not because they're evil, but because they've grown comfortable in taking more than they give. And we've grown used to letting it happen. You were taught that loyalty means endurance, that cutting ties is betrayal. But what if the real betrayal is abandoning yourself, just to keep someone else comfortable? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That includes relationships. If someone consistently drains your energy, shames your choices, or makes you feel small, you don't owe them forever, not even family. In this video, we'll walk through 9 moments, clear, undeniable signs that it's time to protect your peace and choose distance without guilt. Stay with me till the end, because the last sign is the one we most often ignore. And it might be the one holding you back the most. Some people will never say they don't value you, because they don't have to. They'll show it in smaller ways, like the moment you suggest doing something together and their first reaction is, "I can't afford that." But days later, they're posting photos from a new restaurant or bragging about a weekend trip. It's not about the money, it's about what they choose to spend it on. They're not broke, they're selective, and you're not on the list. I once had a friend like that. He had the latest gadgets, traveled often, always had something new to show off. But whenever I asked him to do something simple, grab coffee, go hiking, suddenly he was too broke, too tired, too busy. At first, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But after years of one-sided efforts, the pattern became clear. He wasn't trying to save money. He was saving his energy for people he truly cared about. And I wasn't one of them. That realization hurt. But it taught me something powerful. When people want to prioritize you, they will. When they don't, they'll make excuses that sound polite but feel hollow. A relationship based on convenience, not care, is never balanced. You'll end up giving, waiting, hoping, while they decide when you're worth showing up for. Don't stay in that loop. You deserve friendships that feel mutual, not ones that make you feel like a financial burden or an afterthought. It's not selfish to expect effort. It's self-respect. Some people aren't looking for connection. They're looking for control. And one of their favorite tools is constant argument. It doesn't matter how small the topic is. To them, every difference becomes a battleground. At first, you might think it's just passion. Maybe they're strong-willed, opinionated. But over time, you start feeling like you're walking on glass, careful with every word, every look, just to keep the peace. That's not a relationship. That's survival. They don't just want to be right. They need you to agree. They turn disagreements into ultimatums, pick a side, back them up, or become the enemy. And even when it's not your fight somehow, you're always pulled into it, dragged into drama you didn't ask for, exhausted by battles that don't belong to you. People like this don't want growth. They want dominance. They confuse being loud with being wise. But wisdom is quiet. It listens. It lets go. If every interaction becomes a fight, if you leave conversations drained, not heard, it's time to ask, is this really connection or coercion? Healthy relationships leave space for disagreement. They don't punish you for having your own mind. Don't trade your peace for someone else's chaos. You weren't made to live in someone else's storm. There's a quiet kind of betrayal that cuts deeper than anger. It's when you open your heart, share your struggle, and the person in front of you changes the subject back to themselves. You were vulnerable. They were dismissive. We all carry weight. No two burdens look the same. But in real connection, we don't compare pain. We hold space for it. You mention you're exhausted from caring for a sick parent, and they respond by complaining about their boss. You share how anxious you feel lately, and they counter with how overwhelmed they are. They don't hear you. They hear an opportunity to make it about them. It's not just tone deaf. It's erasing. You're not being seen, just tolerated. And that's not connection. It's emotional neglect. I had someone in my life who did this constantly. Every time I tried to open up, I walked away feeling smaller, unheard, like my problems weren't real unless they fit into their narrative. That's the danger of self-centered empathy. It looks like listening, but it's really waiting to talk. True empathy is quiet. It listens. It remembers. It says, "Tell me more, not me too." And respect? It's not grand gestures. It's in the little things, checking in, saying thank you, apologizing without being asked. If someone repeatedly centers themselves when you're hurting, they're not offering connection. They're stealing the moment. You deserve people who see your pain, not step over it. People who stay when it gets uncomfortable. People who say, "Your voice matters," not "Mine is louder." Real connection doesn't demand agreement. It respects difference. But some people don't want understanding. They want submission. To them, your beliefs aren't just different. They're wrong. You'll recognize them by how every conversation turns into persuasion. What starts as a discussion quickly shifts. Suddenly you're defending yourself instead of being heard. They don't ask questions. They lecture. They don't listen. They correct. I had a friend once who was passionate about his worldview. At first, I admired his conviction, but over time, I noticed a pattern. He didn't want dialogue. He wanted disciples. He'd twist every topic into a chance to convince me that his way was the only way. Religion, politics, lifestyle choices, nothing was safe from his mission to convert. At first, I debated back. Then I tried changing the subject. Eventually, I just stopped talking because I knew it wouldn't be a conversation. It would be a battle. That's when I realized something simple but powerful. Belief, by its nature, is personal. When someone forces theirs onto you, it's not about truth. It's about control. Real respect allows space. You can sit beside someone who sees the world differently, without needing to prove or erase anything. You can learn, even disagree, and still leave the table with kindness intact. But when someone insists their truth is the only truth, they're not building a bridge. They're building a wall. You don't owe anyone your silence just to keep the peace. And you don't have to shrink your voice to avoid conflict. Your perspective matters, even if it doesn't match theirs. Let go of the pressure to constantly explain yourself. You're not obligated to be anyone's project. Peace isn't found in agreement. It's found in mutual respect. Not every ending comes with a fight. Some endings arrive quietly, in awkward silences, in conversations that used to flow but now feel forced. You sit across from someone who once knew everything about you, and now the pauses feel louder than the words. It's tempting to blame yourself, to wonder, did I change too much? Or did they stop caring? But the truth is often simpler. You both grew, just not in the same direction. Life pulls us into different rhythms, careers, family, loss, healing. Some people adapt and walk beside us. Others remain frozen in a version of us that no longer exists. I remember reconnecting with someone I once considered a soulmate in friendship. We met at a cafe, trying to relive our old laughter. But everything felt distant. We talked, but it wasn't deep. We smiled, but it wasn't real. For days, I beat myself up, thinking I didn't try hard enough. Until I realized trying to revive an old connection with a new version of yourself is like trying to fit into clothes from a life you no longer live. Tight, uncomfortable, not meant for you anymore. Letting go isn't betrayal, it's recognition. It's honoring what was and accepting what is. Some friendships are meant to shape us, not stay forever. Their chapter ended with grace. Not with drama, not with resentment, just quiet acknowledgement that the bond once served a purpose, and now it's time to step forward. You don't have to erase the memories. You don't have to cut ties with anger. You just have to stop forcing something that no longer fits. Peace often looks like distance, and growth sometimes sounds like silence. That's not failure. That's evolution. So if you feel a deep unease when you're around someone who once brought you joy, listen to it. Your discomfort may be your heart's way of saying, this season has passed. Some people don't want support. They want an audience. You sit with them hoping for connection, but all you get is a flood of complaints. Endless frustrations, repeated dramas, no pause, no space for you. It's not sharing, it's dumping, and you're the bin. They don't ask how you are. They don't notice your silence. They just spill and leave you heavier than before. Empathy means give and take, but with them, it's always take. I had to learn. Being available doesn't mean being used. Being kind doesn't mean being drained. When someone treats you like a dumping ground, they're not looking for healing. They're avoiding it. You deserve friendships where emotions are exchanged, not unloaded, where both voices matter. And quiet is welcome too, because being heard shouldn't feel like being emptied. A promise isn't just a word. It's a mirror, reflecting how much someone values you. And when they break it, that reflection cracks. We've all waited for texts that never came, for friends who forgot plans, for people who said always and meant until it's inconvenient. The worst part isn't the broken promise, it's realizing you were the only one who remembered it. You tell yourself they're busy. You give them grace again and again. But deep down, it hurts. Because being forgotten doesn't feel accidental. It feels like the truth revealing itself. People who value you show up. Maybe not perfectly, but consistently. And those who don't, won't. It's not about expecting perfection. It's about expecting effort. Let go of those who treat commitment like a casual phrase. You deserve to be more than an afterthought. You deserve to be chosen and remembered. There's comfort in being heard, but there's exhaustion in being the only one listening. Some people don't want advice. They want validation. So they tell you the same story over and over, same problem, no change. You offer insight. They nod, then circle right back to their loop. Next week, next call, next silence. At first, you care, but soon, you feel drained. Not because you don't want to help, but because they don't want to help themselves. Support isn't about repeating the same emotional scene forever. It's about moving forward, together. If someone keeps coming back to the same worry but refuses to grow, they don't want a friend. They want an echo. You're not here to be someone's mirror. You're here to grow too. Some people live in the past. Not because it was better, but because it's the only place they felt important. They retell the same stories, same victory, same applause. At first it sounds impressive, but soon it becomes hollow. You try to talk about the present. They shift back to their glory days. You mention your growth. They one-up it with history. It's not about sharing pride. It's about clinging to relevance. True confidence doesn't need applause, and healthy relationships thrive in the now, not in echoes of yesterday. If someone's only joy is behind them, they may not know how to celebrate your future. You deserve people who are here, not just people who once were. You've just walked through 9 quiet truths. Not loud betrayals, not dramatic explosions, but subtle signs, small imbalances, repeated patterns that slowly steal your peace. And maybe as you listened, someone came to mind. A friend, a family member, or maybe it was yourself. This isn't about cutting people off in anger. It's about learning to stop abandoning yourself in the name of loyalty, to stop shrinking just to make space for someone who never does the same. The hardest boundaries are often the ones we set with those we love. But they're also the most necessary, because love without respect isn't love. And connection without peace is just captivity with nicer words. So here's the question I leave you with. Who in your life brings you closer to yourself, and who pulls you away? If this video made you pause, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, subscribe. Not for me, for you, to stay in the practice of choosing peace. And remember this. You are not selfish for choosing distance. You are wise for choosing freedom.